Hello everyone. Today we are going to look at checkpointing models in TensorFlow. So before we look at in detail, so let's understand what is checkpointing. Before that, we'll use a usual template that we have been using in the previous videos. We'll use the iris dataset, we'll load the dataset, and we split the dataset into train and test, and we'll build the model. However, before we actually start training the model, let us try to understand why do we need to checkpoint. When we start training, right, so the training might run for, let's say, 100 or 200 or 500 epochs or whatever number you give. However, when there's a certain point in time beyond which there is no significant improvement in training, and we do that using early stopping. Now let us say that the early stopping happens at a particular point, let's say after 50 epochs. We would want to get the best model out of these 50 epochs. How do we get it? So that we can obtain using checkpointing. We need not retrain, we can just specify a particular callback using which we can ask TensorFlow that, hey, stop the training whenever there's no significant improvement, as well as get me the best model in this specified number of epochs which you run. So that is achieved using checkpointing. So let us see in detail how do we get it, how do we do it using TensorFlow. We generally create a callback just like we did for early stopping. So before that, let's create a new folder to save the model. So here is how we create a callback: tf keras callbacks model checkpoint. So this is the callback we'll use. If you observe the arguments, the first argument, the file path, is the location which points to your best model. We also specify a monitor argument which mentions which parameter, which attribute, or which metric which the TensorFlow library framework should monitor. Here we're specifying validation loss as a metric you should monitor. And look at the argument save best only, which is true, which means that we're asking TensorFlow to save the best model only. If you make it false, what will happen is it will save each and every epochs model. Let's if there are 100 epochs and it runs for 50 epochs, then TensorFlow will save 50 models. There is no real good use of saving a model after end of every epoch. So we'll say use the save best only option. And there is a save weights only parameter, which as the name specifies, we can either save the weights only so that we can reconstruct the architecture later, or we can save the entire architecture. In this case, we are saying, hey, save the entire architecture, right? So with this callback, let us try to train the model. So if you observe the model.fit, we are providing two callbacks. The first is the early stop callback, which you have seen in the previous video, as well as the model checkpoint callback. So if we train using both of these callbacks, if we go to the training that's completed, let's go to the folder, model h5 folder. We can see that it has saved the model, the best model, right? So we can also see the number of epochs when run, which is callback, the functionality of early stopping. So it is run for 23 epochs, and it is run for 9 epochs actually, if you see here, right? And it has achieved, it has performed early stopping. So this is how we use checkpointing and combine it with early stopping to get the best model at one shot. So this is pretty much about checkpointing. I hope you liked the video. Thank you for watching.